top of the evening and or day or afternoon. Like it's just insert generic greeting here for speed gaming on a not so generic race, by the way, because we have Shaktool's Diggy game versus Vileplumes, Aussie 101 on the left side and Canadian Owl on the right. And in the booth, we have Kip from the Kip Stratus Fear. What's going on, Kip?
Hey, Seffi, not much, man. How are you this evening?
Um, ecstatic. I'm hype. This is game 4, and you were actually just learning me prior to us joining the stream that they already ended up choosing their modes to
Yeah,
race.
let's talk about the draft real quick. The draft is one of my favorite things about this season. I think it's really interesting to see how people choose it. Um, quick context: Aussie 101 representing team Shaktool's Digging Game. They are the #1 overall seed. They are up 2-1 in the semifinal match or semifinal series. So if Aussie wins tonight, they will close out and go to the finals. Canadian Al representing Vileplumes. He is their power player. Aussie is the Varia player for the other team. But when it gets to games 4 and games 5, you can put anybody on your team into those slots and you have to draft. So since Canadian Al is on Vileplumes and game 4 lets the lower seeded team pick first, Canadian Al opened with picking full or heavy area, however you want to refer to it. We have different terminology, but full area. Um, let's see. Aussie countered with, I believe he said, um, full random, which maybe I'm mistaken, but
Yeah.
that looked to
No.
me a random start, right?
Yeah, so it's full item randomization with a random start as well
All right.
included.
And then Al countered with turning ball shuffle off. So this is full area. The items can be anywhere pretty much. This is probably the mode that I'm the least familiar with. I've done it some, but I'm going to have to lean on Seppi a good bit for tonight. But there will be no ball shuffle, but we do have full area. So this should be a lot of fun.
The cool thing about randomized start, I personally, is that you get bailed out with items a lot sooner, depending on where you start, of course. Like right now, I think the obvious thing right now is like if you start here at Etacoons, you're pretty much guaranteed the power bombs that they were given, and as well as the supers, I would say, because it doesn't leave a lot of room for having to hunt down any minor items, which honestly one of the most annoying things that it does me feel like I don't want to go, search all those items, but I still welcome that that's a feature in randomizers. But anyway, it's like it does trouble to our runners, um, and it doesn't look like they have to go, backtrack all the way, or at least too much, to try to get to criteria.
Yes, and you're making a good point. I personally did not run the week. Like I ran almost every week of the season. Random start was one of the weeks that I did not run for our team, and depending on where you start, like you were saying earlier, like here we have spring ball already. That's a nice item to find early. But there are even some locations like in Lower Norfair where you get Varia right off the bat. And then, as someone in chat pointed out, sometimes you can actually have, depending on where you start, like a late morph ball. But luckily for us, they already have morph ball, and they're in kind of a pretty safe location. Greenbryn Star is not overly dangerous. So interesting start here. But I really got to hand it to the Varia guys on some of the modes. I've been playing a lot of area this season. Ball shuffle I've always found fascinating, and then this random start is actually really cool. I didn't run a ton of it, but I watched Maniacal do a good bit of it. And as you can see, the area they just found is the top of the East Meridia, like elevator or whatever, they do not have enough items, or they don't have the right items to even be able to go that way. So this is an area they'll have to come back to later. So Sefi, I think you'll probably agree with me. We should just go ahead and apologize up front. Being full rando and full area is going to be kind of crazy for us to keep track of. We'll do the best we can, but we're liable to make mistakes.
Yeah, we're not Derp, a madman that, or Beeps who ends up being able to just map everything out using their brains only. It does cause for some confusion. Like, I think that's one of the things about being able to randomize everything is that the goal is to completely try to confuse your opponent. Just to try to get them to trip over what decisions that they might make, because that might be the reason why you don't like doing full randos too, right? Is because on top of already having randomized areas, and then having to remember all the item locations without tripping up over the past few weeks that you've done of just major, minor, or the random, chozo that was sprinkled in during the playoffs. You kind of go into auto mode, checking a lot of these items that you normally wouldn't in the more popular randomizers.
That is an excellent point. Also, they went ahead and found Wave Beam. Like, finding 2 items that you would put on the tracker this early in full rando is really cool to see. But no, you bring up a great point. Like, I want to talk about kind of macro strategy for just a moment. Clearly, both of these teams are very, very good, or else they wouldn't have made it to the semifinals. And I also believe both of these runners are very, very solid. I would put Aussie, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I would personally put him as one of the singular elite runners of the entire league, because I believe he's exceptionally strong at pretty much any mode that you can throw at him. In fact, he's one of the most versatile. Oh, look at this charge beam already. This is cool to see. He's very versatile. In particular, though, I think he's probably one of the better full rando players, because of doing a lot of SMC3 and stuff like that. I'm sure Canadian Al is also very good at it too, but I'm actually a little, interested to see why Al opened up with full area instead of maybe controlling where the items would be placed. But maybe he's just a lot more familiar and comfortable with full than I realized. So personally, if I just know that if I had to race full against Aussie, I would be in trouble.
Yeah, I kind of share the same sentiment with you, Kip. Just because anyone that plays SMC3 and a lot of it, I just feel like they have an advantage over me, being able to do, full randomized SM, just because there's like some tech that I've seen before, but I just really haven't put in a lot of time into knowing. There's also some decision making that they might be a little bit more familiar with, when it comes down to it. I don't know if that's really, depending on, the areas that they find. I don't know how they plan on prioritizing those checks that they normally would, like in some meta game.
And see,
so that will be interesting.
To your point too, like when it comes to full, I always lean on my friends that have done it a lot. Like, for example, Maniacal. He and I had a discussion somewhat recently where I was kind of making the point where I was saying that it felt to me that full was probably a little more volatile because there's more ways of getting punished if your opponent finds, like, a suit much earlier than you or something like that. Like, there's just times where you might be stuck in an area and not realize that there's nothing there, but you're just full clearing everything. But he told me that he's done a lot of it and that he kind of felt in general like it's not quite as volatile as it might appear once you kind of get used to it. So let's just put it this way. I'm not under the impression that it's just a total craziness. I'm sure there's a lot of method to the madness that runners like Al and Aussie probably understand that maybe I don't. But look at this speed booster early. Holy mackerel, dude. That's a big one.
Wow. Yeah. I think like any movement items, obviously I welcome. That's also gonna grant them X to Botwoon later if they don't find ice but they find gravity. Um, Another thing about fully randomized randos is that it's sometimes a scary trek having to go throughout the entire planet looking for charge. Finding that um might be a big sigh of relief, but I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't tell you like who it would favor in this case because I know that Owl runs this game vanilla, you know, fairly a good amount. He's done his fair share of 100% as well. We saw Aussie rising the ranks during last year's 100% mini tournament, so that was also cool to see. But yeah, because full item randomization could just set you up to be at the most inopportune time in the most inopportune location. It could prove to be the equalizer in
Yes,
terms of movement and all that.
that's a great point. Well, a couple things. Number one, I agree about both players. I mean, Aussie has not only a rich history and accomplished history in Rando, but I mean, even in, for example, like RBO, which, you know, anyone who runs the vanilla categories, are they rando? No. But in this game in particular, is there a lot of crossover between strats? Yes. So if you're like a really accomplished runner in several categories, especially one that has some weird tech in it like RBO, I feel like that really helps you become a better rando player much faster. So Aussie is very accomplished in that area. Also, as you mentioned, Canadian Owl, a very, very capable player, experienced in a ton of different categories. So he knows all the tech too. A very worthy opponent for Aussie. In terms of the charge thing, ironically, I kind of feel like early charge is nice, but maybe less impactful here than the other modes, simply because since this is full, you're just straight running into so many minor items that I would assume that you have a pretty decent number of ammo mother brains in this mode, because a lot of times you won't find charge, right? So finding charge early is great, but I feel like in terms of how they will end up playing moving forward, it might be more minimal impact than it would be in other modes.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I also wouldn't. Oh, but there's oh my gosh, there's a plasma.
Yeah, as
I
soon
was
as I
gonna.
said that, plasma
Yeah.
charge.
Randa just said, "You're wrong, Kip." No, it's just you're right though because I still probably would go looking for super missiles, because I want to make quick work of that Ridley. Um,
Absolutely.
and anything that would make the mother brain fight, if you happen to see any super missiles along the way, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're more than likely gonna pick them up or not. Oh, although we have divergence here now.
It's funny that Aussie can check, or was actually, oh my god, Aussie could do this item early because he has speed booster. He's gonna have to get the setup, but it ends up being screw attack, which screw attack is not a. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, hear me out on this one, Sefi. I trust Aussie's judgment 100%. He knows a lot more than I do. When it comes to thinking about what value does Screw bring, its primary value is in lower Norfair. However, I love having it early because it just means that for the entire rest of the seed, I just can just jump into anything I want to, and not have to really worry. He does already have plasma, which helps with lower Norfair, but personally, given that we're only 12 minutes in, I still would have grabbed that. I get that it's not a progression item, but I still think it's very useful. But I'm sure Aussie feels comfortable with lower Norfair, so it'll be something he's not worried about.
For sure. I would probably also attempt to go for it. It is unfortunate that he took too much damage, that he wasn't able to spark up. Would you farm Would you farm the health and give it a try anyway, like another go around?
Maybe I would do what he's doing now because I mean that's a good point. See, I just in a way kind of showed that I'm not as up to date on all of the scenarios because I actually thought he still had enough energy to do it. Um, but yeah, I'd probably maybe farm some of these bugs and then just go back down and do it. It's not that expensive, but at the same time, I understand why he would not want to do it. I mean, it's like I said, it's not a progression item, so it's technically a luxury. But I still think screw is really helpful. I think it makes a lot of things more comfy.
Yeah, I would probably have committed to the screw play as well. Especially right now, Aussie's in such a strong position to check uh, gauntlet, and it would save a bunch of time having to check that. Maybe he's gonna do it right now, or maybe he's just gonna nope out. We'll see. I think he wants it though.
I mean, I feel, excuse me, I feel like screw is like the quintessential Metroid item. Pardon me. So I feel like you kind of got to get it, right?
Yeah, no, like no doubt. I do like that that Aussie's going back for it, and it is big. Also, really good strat there for Owl.
There we
Beta
go.
power bombs. Yeah, so that's a really good call for Aussie because I think this would still it would pretty much even out having to do gauntlet with power bombs only, having to backtrack over here. But I think in the long run, just the time save that you have, and the peace of mind that screw attack gives you, because it's such an overpowered item.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm glad that he went back and got it. And I think you made a really good point about, whoops. You made a great point about the fact that it would make checking Gauntlet significantly faster. So that's another good reason to get it. Early Gauntlet, especially early, like in a regular kind of major minor or something like that, early Gauntlet with Screw is just so much more comfortable and safe. So great item to have.
Yeah, I think Aussie there was we were under the impression that he was playing a 100% map when it's really just the items that he may have to 100%.
Oh, you're saying that you don't get various suit if you get those tiles? Holy moly, dude. What is
Wow.
going on? I did not expect, I haven't done a ton of commentary on full rando, but maybe I just don't know what I'm doing, but I was not expecting to find this many significant major items this quickly. Like, this has got to be one of the faster seeds, right?
I would say so. It has to be. They don't have any bosses down, and it's really what's taking them a long time to actually trying to get those priorities done is because it's full randomization. They have to check all these items because, I mean, and it's a good thing that they have been because the payoff has been phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Very quickly, I don't think we fully explained about the area rando. I think most people that have been watching the league at this point are pretty familiar because it's come up a lot, not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs. But basically, there are several doors that have been turned into portals, and in full area, those portals can basically connect to pretty much any of the other portals. And so you end up with this very complex way that the map works. However, there are certain areas such as Wreck Ship or East Meridia, which is where Dragon is. Those sections only have like 2 portals in them. And so sometimes, depending on how it's randomized, they can actually chain together into some kind of like dead end. But for the most part, usually seeds have some kind of circular motion to them to a degree, or kind of a central hub. The only true dead ends, completely true dead ends, I think are Kraid's Lair and Crocomire, if I'm not misremembering. And then obviously Torian.
Yeah, Torian playing its role right at the very end. It's good info to have on, especially early, that way you can route it in, or at least keep in mind, where you want to go as you progress throughout the seed. But
So
yeah,
gotta
oh, go
assume
ahead.
Aussie's like ahead here. Yes, I mean like again, it's a little hard sometimes with full, and it's also even harder with area because it's like it's harder to keep track of who all knows what. But it seems as though Aussie has checked more things and found more important items so far. Would you somewhat agree with that? Maybe.
I guess in terms of like items, yeah, maybe Al has a little bit more info regarding the warps, but
Ooh, wreck ship.
yeah, but I don't think I don't think there's anything too special that Al's found that would really put him so much in the lead. That is a very difficult thing to try to argue, who's ahead and who isn't, because these runners are going to be in different places at different times.
Yes, and it can flip on a dime with area. Hey, Aussie, I got to tell you, man. Just this is what I do every time I'm in this scenario. Just take those high jump boots off. There we go.
Do you find it too risky to try to spark it? Because I mean, you have screw attack, and for the Phantoon fight, you can suit a screw everything too.
I think sparking would have been perfectly fine. However, I probably still, this is just me, I'm not saying it's the best decision. A lot of times, if I'm in this scenario, I will turn high jump boots off anyway because I find high jump bootless wreck ship to be a lot more comfortable for me since I've done way more old route. And so a lot of times, like, even though I'm losing time to menu, I'm actually faster in the movement. You know what I'm saying? So he seems to feel fine about it. And I'm sure someone like you who's a really excellent old route player and a really solid hundo player, could probably get faster times with the extra equipment. But for someone like me, it would be a lot better for me to just turn it off and turn it back on when I'm done.
I think it just warms my heart seeing people jump across the ocean like that, because I like to pretend that's a huge nod to Fruit Bat Salad.
Oh yeah.
Shout outs to him. He's the only runner that does that just for the health, and honestly, that's signature staple FPS right there. So
Yeah, and I love that in general. I love it when people, I mean, I do this too. I love it when people kind of put their own spin on the run. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's cool to see. By the way, I got to complain about Phantoon real quick. I've mentioned this on commentary many times in the past, but the slow patterns, Aussie got trolled pretty bad. The slow patterns are terrible, not only because they're slow, but the primary reason they're so bad is because they are the most likely to flame lame you or put you in really weird positions to try to get the opening missiles in. And Aussie kind of got screwed on that. Well,
there it is.
on cue. He got two slows, and both of them were like fast eye closes with weird flame patterns. So it's just, it sucks when it happens.
Okay, should have gotten that off-screen shot. So Aussie with his first boss down.
Hey, big
Also,
ups. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna mention really quick, I really like that Al went for that strat, the safer strat to spark up there.
Yeah, I was about to give him big props for that too. That's actually what I do in RBO. Ooh, okay. One more hit and he would have died, but he's fine. I think that strat is a lot easier and safer, and technically he saved time with it because Aussie went for the other one and then took damage and couldn't do it until later. So nice job on the strats there, Al.
Yeah, I have to try to remember right now exactly what had Al already checked, because this is everything that Aussie's already done. Al did, I think, a couple of red tower checks, whatever warps there were there, and then beta power bombs and all of that. But there wasn't anything that really paid off. There wasn't obviously like no suits that would
Right.
point him to like continue Meridia or Norfair. So right now, Aussie's pretty much trailblazing through.
Yeah, right now it appears as though, and again, you can correct me or chat can correct me if I'm wrong. It's just pretty difficult sometimes to keep track of everything, but it appears that they are doing relatively similar things and have come across similar items. It's just that Aussie's a little bit faster in the head at the moment.
Yeah, while Owl might have had a faster grab on Screw Attack, he did have to powerbomb through Gauntlet. And I don't know, Aussie just kind of had a pretty comfy time cruising through there. He's gonna I wouldn't doubt that if Owl finds Rex Ship, which I'm pretty sure he will real soon, he's gonna be right behind Aussie and do all that. I don't imagine that anyone's gonna try to skip the top, or at least Owl is not gonna try to skip the top of Rep Ship.
Yeah, see, this is where it gets interesting because, again, as someone who is, I'm very, very familiar with the area randomizer. I've done a ton of those seeds, but I just have not done nearly as much full rando as like Major, Minor, or Chozo. So it's like, if you feel like you're the underdog, what do you try to do to get some type of separation or try to give yourself some edge? Like, I really don't know. Like, what do you think would be the best way for Al if he believes that he's being, if he's at maybe a slight movement a disadvantage or something? What could he do to kind of like get some kind of edge back as the underdog in the race?
Such a good point. For one, it is unfortunate that he found this side to wreck ship because it's gonna be a little bit slower, not by much, but still, Aussie found the west side entrance to wreck ship. Now, any shortcuts that Owl could possibly take, I would probably argue it'd have to be with something with it can only be achievable with a suit, I feel, because having a dip into lower Norfair early maybe, but there's really not anything that what Owl could possibly try to do that Aussie couldn't do as well,
Right.
because the divergence in routes, they just were not, they hadn't found upper Norfair.
That's a great
branch
point.
off to.
It almost feels like, well, let's put it this way. I think all of us are still in the early phases of, or the early phase of kind of getting a good meta on area rando. But it seems to me that ironically, in some ways, while having full rando on and full area on might sound more crazy, it might actually in some ways be harder to get separation or for you to make potential plays because you don't always know where you're headed. Like, if you were doing vanilla map, you could be like, well, I think my opponent's going to do wreck ship earlier, so I'm going to go do something more risky, right? And maybe if I get lucky, it'll work out. But with areas, like, you don't really know where you're going.
Yeah, that's about it. I just remember that, yeah, Aussie did find, just because of how he accessed wreck ship, he did find upper Norfair, but decided to just kind of stick with wreck ship anyway. And I guess I think I might have mentioned it in the race between you and Dirt before, but I think especially in full item randomization, because there's a boss that you can kill there, and there's items, and you don't have to risk going slow, doing banking on hell runs for
Right.
checks. It makes sense to just clear out wreck ship and hope that there's any sort of suit.
No, I completely agree. I mean, first of all, wreck ship can be dangerous if you're not careful. Like, it is certainly possible to lose a lot of energy in certain rooms if you're just, really not being diligent. But generally speaking, there's not many requirements. There's plenty of items to check, and you got to kill Phantoon regardless anyway. So it's kind of a natural thing to do. I want to say that Aussie. Oh, what I was about to say is moot at this point because I was going to say I think at one point Aussie actually did like. I don't think he did Suitless Lower Norfair. I think he did Suitless Meridia in his race against Junie, maybe? Was it Junie or Toasty that he raced? But anyway, I was just gonna talk about like I wonder how willing or what item set he would need to, you know, continue to hell run here or whatever. But he's not got to worry about that because he has exactly what he wants, and he can actually get into Lower Norfair too if he finds the portal. So he's in good shape.
Yeah, in really good shape. Would you, if you found grapple at this point, would you go and just would you go for a Suitless Meridia? Or what for you, Kip? What do you think is like a comfortable, or do you still just keep checking for gravity?
Well, so
Because there's a lot to bank on. Still checks, you know, and gravity could be anywhere.
Technically, he's in. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, technically, he's already in go mode, right? Like he with this loadout, if he found grapple, of course, he would be able to defeat Dragon and clear out Meridia because he has Spring Ball and High Jump Boots. And he has Speed Booster, for Torian, etc. So I guess at this point though he can't do it because he doesn't have ice. Is that right? Doesn't he need ice unless he does some crazy clip or something?
Oh well, I guess if he, yeah, that's true. I forgot that the bosses aren't randomized. Yeah, so ice would be.
Let's put it this way: if I had ice, ooh, nice. Hey man, Aussie's got the Maverick. But no, I'm with you. Especially in full, if I had the ability to do Suitless Meridia and I was already in go mode otherwise, I would just kill every boss and then go kill Dragon and then go about my business.
And Aussie is in a really good position to get a good amount of checks. This could be the back door to Lower Norfair, like any one of these. There's still the Croc Speedway check, and I think there's still the Lava Spark setup room.
Yeah, I don't think he's done that one yet. Al's playing well. I mean, I don't really have any kind of criticism of his play. I think he's executed quite fine. I think he's made perfectly fine decisions.
He's made the same ones as Aussie, just about.
Yeah, it's just that right now, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like when you're racing someone like Aussie, it's just you're in a tough spot because, I mean, I'm very impressed with Aussie's room-to-room movement here. It's very clear that he has done a lot of full rando and understands how to adjust with different item sets to all these different rooms. So it's kind of one of those things where Al's behind, but he hasn't done anything wrong. It's just that Aussie's just played really well.
Yeah. If there's anything that is actually really good for Al regarding the way that he's routed this, is that at least this will, like, very much like how it helped Aussie, it's gonna put him right out to Upper Norfair. So again, he's just gonna be doing the same checks that Aussie has been doing.
Oh, little new bridge action.
Yeah, and all of this, I feel like Aussie might have been hoping for Lower Norfair access, especially like the back door. Oh, I like how he's gonna set this up for this check over here, the crumble shaft.
Dude, that's hilarious. I would have not thought to do that. I love it.
Yeah, neither would have. I wouldn't have. I'd probably be too focused on trying to clear out Lower Norfair myself right
And
now.
he gets the ultimate prize for his efforts. The
Good
reserve.
old reserve. Mm-hmm.
Hey, in all
I mean,
seriousness, though,
you'll
I
miss
actually
them.
think reserves are pretty good. I think they're not as bad as people make them out to be.
Um, because I haven't. I have like no issue with reserve tanks whatsoever. They actually he could set it up for like stand-up glitch, right? Do those count
You know
towards
what?
your?
It's funny you mentioned that, Sephi, because I ran into a seed when I was practicing recently, and put me in a situation I'd never thought of, but ended up I didn't have to test it, and I've been meaning to go back and test it. I'm sure someone in chat can tell me. I'm pretty sure that you can finish the game with 2 regular energy tanks and a reserve.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Yep.
that you can. Um, so maybe I'm wrong about that. I guess I can go test it at some point. But, technically that doesn't happen very often, but it can. And then secondly, I think maybe not in full, but I just know that there have been plenty of times in other randomizers where there wasn't an abundance of regular energy tanks, and getting a reserve actually ended up saving me in a spot that I would have died. So um, I don't, I think they're pretty solid. I don't think they're nearly as bad as people make them out to be.
Yeah, Al was I think he would have wanted that, but we know that he's gonna get bailed up by Varia here anyway, sometime real soon.
Right.
What was cool is that Aussie did save that check for last. Instead of just heading straight over to check it, he just checked it on his way out. Yeah, so these are the spots that are left, and Aussie might just try to go for Lower Norfair right now. He's gonna try to get over that way.
I love that little jump, like that space jump where you shoot upwards to get up Red Tower.
Yup.
The very first person I ever saw do that was Scotty McBody. And I remember I saw it in a race, and I'd never seen anybody do it before, and I was just like, that is rad. So even though it's not like super complex, I still think that's a fun one.
Do you have like any like besides that one? I don't know if there's any other strats that you can like name off the top of your head that are kind of like rando exclusive. Maybe like I know another one that I just literally learned maybe a month and a half ago was the Frog Speedway Spazer
Yeah.
wave clip
Oh
thing.
yeah, I love that one. That's an excellent one, and I think you know what my favorite part about that one is that it's not hard to do.
It isn't. Yeah,
I,
no.
I love any trick that I don't have to like try very hard. Oh, don't abandon one of my favorite items. Actually, you should because you don't have that much energy.
I thought he was gonna Crystal Flash for it.
He doesn't need them. I just have a soft spot in my heart for bombs. I think bombs is like, and I'm not memeing. I know everybody out there is like, I mean, vanilla bombs, they're not that great. If I get bombs at the beginning
Oh.
of a seed, I feel fantastic about it.
Wait, people are saying that about bombs? Bombs is incredible. I love bombs.
Me too. It's just I think that sometimes that they don't get the same amount of love or excitement because technically you can get through the game without them. They're never required. You can do power bombs, etc. But I just feel like they're very. First of all, they make you play real comfortable. They're very
Mm-hmm.
versatile, and secondly, like they actually let you do a lot of things. I remember in one of my races, earlier this season, that was my method of getting through wreck ship. That was my method of getting through worst room in the game. And even though it was a little slower than some of the other methods, it meant that I didn't have to go find a bunch of other stuff, and I actually ran a fast time on that seed. So I think bombs are great.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of bombs for what it lets me do in randomizers. You do take them for granted honestly, because one of the most embarrassing soft locks in the game in Randomizer, now if we're talking about like, rando exclusive things, is soft locking on your way over to bowling
Oh
and you're in that
God.
little crevice.
That or you know what another one is forgetting, like if you don't have spring ball or screw or speed or something, and forgetting that you have to have more than 5 power bombs to get out of lower Norfair.
Yep.
I've done that one before. That one feels terrible.
That
And
one
if you have
hurts
bombs,
too.
you never have to worry about any of that stuff.
Nope. Getting grabbed by Metroids is, a breeze because you could just bomb them off.
Easy peasy.
Uh,
Oh,
I, oh yeah, this is
that's
what
big.
Asa was looking for. I I can't remember if Aussie found or at least connected whatever the good boys whole portal was. I don't know if either runner found that. I kind of want to think that either that's Croc, Torian, or the backdoor to Lower Norfair.
Yeah. It's
Actually, you know what? We haven't even seen Kraid's lair yet.
I was just about to say, man. So I've ran seeds of this before that did things like, it's not happening here, but like I've seen seeds where it's been like front of wreck ship, exit wreck ship, into lower Norfair, exit lower Norfair, Kraid. Like you had to do that, right? So at this point, I mean, if you're Aussie, even if you full clear lower Norfair, you kind of have to go out the other way because you just don't know. I mean, technically, I think even Torian could be down here.
Yeah, at the other end of Lower Norfolk, it very well could be.
Oh my God, the rare golden Teresa.
Yeah, these you just about never really see in randomizers. Just expect them in full item, but even then, by the time that you are in Lower Norfair, you're usually just about ready to go.
I've got a controversial question for you, Sephi. You ready?
What is it?
I was thinking recently about me and my buddy have been talking about like coming up with some different modes and stuff for Dash just to kind of play around and come up with different ideas. This is not something I officially asked or recommended, but I kind of got to thinking and I was like, do people love the major bosses so much that we want to kill them every run? Or like, what if you actually randomize which bosses you have to fight? Like you got into Ridley and you had to fight Spore Spawn. Like what if you had to kill 4 bosses but you didn't know which ones you had to kill? Would it be too weird or would it be kind of fun because you don't know what you're going to get?
I think that would be okay, so I'm open for that. Just because it's kind of like it's pretty much all bosses and wow, like I don't know if people are gonna like bank on checking like G4 just to make sure that they're killing the bosses right. Like that
Right.
would probably be the trolliest part of it all. And I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know how a lot of people would take it either, because if we've had, like everyone always, you can't please everyone, honestly.
Of course, yeah. There's going to be modes that some people love and some people don't, no matter what it is.
I think that one would be cool though, just because I wish that Spore Spawn got a little bit more.
Yeah. And I mean,
exposure.
Golden Teresa is pretty cool too. I mean, we never see him.
Yeah, you don't. There's maybe you might be making a couple of Crocomire fans happy too with that. Like
That's
everyone
true. That's true. In the meantime, Aussie making his way down to Ridley, and it kind of seems to me, again, as I've mentioned before, I'm not as familiar with full item rando, but it seems like Lower Norfair is not that much different than it is in a lot of the other categories, because there's just not many total items down here, so you're really only routing in like a couple of extra ones. I guess probably the most annoying one would be the power bombs in jail. Is that the vanilla item? Something like that?
Yeah. Yep. That's that one does seem pretty bad. I mean, even like GT could be kind of bad, but you can reset that check.
True.
The thing about yeah, the PB and jails item is that you have to go through some horror. If you don't have spring ball, you have to do some really annoying unmorph, jump, morph, and all of this. I don't know. Like, you can check it, but if it's the item that you want to grab, it's kind of a nuisance.
Yeah. Also, just to kind of keep everybody up to date, I mean, again, Al's doing a fine job. He hasn't really found anything. I mean, at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, like, the runners either have to have ice and grapple, or gravity suit to go with their speed booster to get through Meridia if you want to do it by the logic. Now, I guess technically there might be ways to do some clips and stuff that are more niche that I'm not as familiar with, but he, unfortunately for him, has not been able to find any kind of way to get some kind of separation, and so far Ossie's just been kind of slowly and steadily putting a little bit of distance between him and Al.
Yeah, because of movement. I was gonna say, this is a point where I was hoping that Al would maybe risk a check over at the Good Boys hole warp, just because it could be Croc, and that could have ice and grapple, or that could have gravity, or that could have something like anything right now that's left, or even like Kraid's Lair, like anything that opens up more items that Aussie just has not seen yet, would be great. Unless the items are right here, Aussie's still in a really good position to have because he has another check over Al currently, which is going to be the backside of Lone Norfair.
Right. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and call it now. Grapple somewhere in Kraid's Lair.
Ooh.
Gravity suit at, like, Mama Turtle or something. I think we're going to get some suitless.
It'd be actually pretty exciting to get a suitless play in a full rando.
It would.
Because it just doesn't happen. Okay, yeah. So Al ended up doing the reset. This is the check that I like seeing.
Yeah, that was a good play.
But yeah, you might be right. This could be one of the rare suitless. Oh, that's annoying. Oh no.
Oh my God.
You literally said it. Oh goodness. Oh no.
Now listen, I'm not laughing because I'm making fun of them. I'm also not laughing because of being happy about it. Like, I've said this on commentary before, that's the laugh to avoid crying. Like, cause that's troll. You never want to see that in a race.
It's also more annoying because Aussie has to, now he has to do the crapple check. Oh my gosh.
This is not commentary curse, by the way. I just warned that it could happen because it's happened to me before. So let's go through the portals real quick. What was the Ridley entry? Like, I call it the Ridley room because it's got a statue in it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the lava spark.
Right, but see, and the reason I call it the Ridley room is because when I'm thinking of area, I call the previous room the lava dive room, because you can't call them both that without getting confused, right?
Yeah, because they're not. It's not like. I know what you mean. Yeah, I've done the same thing.
So anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is, do you remember what it connected to?
I think that connected to. Wasn't it The G4, the Green Pirates shaft.
I think you're right. How hilarious is it that it's G4 connected to Torian with giant Lower Norfair in the middle? That's hilarious.
Well, there's only I. I'm pretty sure it's only the good boys room that's left to check, and that's about it.
That's
But
the Meridia map, right?
yep.
Nice. Yeah, that room is so troll, dude.
Hey, yeah, having to do it suitless it's annoying because you don't want to do that. You don't feel like doing suitless ever unless you have to, or unless you feel like you potentially have a win in a race.
Al having a nice Lower Norfair so far. About to fight Ridley. Before we fight Ridley, real quick question for you and for chat. Which is the more intimidating entry? The entry to Kraid with that big giant mouth, or the entry to Lower Norfair with Ridley's big giant mouth? When I was a kid, I thought whenever I entered Lower Norfair, I was like, oh no. So I think the Ridley one's scarier, but it could go either way.
I think maybe the Kraid entrance one, just because I I don't know, maybe I'm just pretty basic
It
kid,
looks spooky. I agree.
but the Ridley statue one always kind of looked cool to me. I was like, oh, I want to enter the dragon, like literally.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah,
Very nice fight by Al, by the way. Really good job. Nice pogo manipulations. Perfect. Oh, no way. I always forget about Waterway.
Yeah, and I mean, this one makes sense for Asa to go for because this will take him to East Meridia elevator, and he could just.
I was about to say if this is Gravity, and you said this one will take him, and I was about to say to Funky Town because if Aussie wins, then they go to the finals and then face Funky Town. But just the Spazer Beam, unfortunately, which you know what? Since I care about you, Seffi, we'll just act like we didn't see that.
I appreciate it, Kevin. You see, that's I'm thankful that we didn't see that item whatsoever. And obviously, that no one picked it up too, because there's some items where that you face plant. Obviously, like they couldn't, Aussie couldn't in that situation. That's the one that you normally face plant if you have gravity.
Well, that's true, and I'll tell you this though. Clearly we're still not to the point where we can assume that we have a suitless Meridia, and they still don't have Ice Beam, so they can get through portions of it with Spring Ball. But personally, this is just me. I still pick up Spazer, even when I have Plasma, on purpose, if I'm not sure yet if it's going to be suitless or not, because some people can manage suitless ice shots with Plasma. To me, it's just really dangerous. I like using Spazer. I'm much more comfortable with it when I'm needing to freeze crabs and fish and stuff.
Yeah, I think the only reason it makes sense right now is because Spring Ball just makes it all the much quicker. But yeah, in other cases, if you just don't have Spring Ball. And I feel like this is to be expected of a fully randomized seed, which I'm pretty sure you can attest to. It's why you hate these seeds, or full randomization. It's because you're pretty much playing the 100% game. And I think it hits a little bit more different than just running 100%, because at least in 100%, you have a goal. You're just trying to personal best. In this one, you're just going around checking, and that's it.
I just thought about something. If this is full randomization of items and then full area, which I think Polar Bear Bunny or someone started calling it heavy instead of full, which I actually like because then you don't confuse the two terms. Plus, the other mode for area is light, so I really like the idea of light and heavy. But if you call it full area, would we call this mode the full fully?
Fully, I would think so, yeah, and that would actually bring us full circle.
So we got the halfy, the full halfy, and the full fully because this is the full item and full area, right?
That's pretty much correct. Yep.
We did a
You've,
thing, Seffi. We did a thing. Let's go.
I know. Like, you need to start tweeting all of that stuff out. If you don't use Twitter, use smoke signals. Whatever they had in 1994 that you can use, just use that. Beepers?
I still like heavy better though. I got to give a shout out to Polar Bunny or whoever it was. I remember her talking about it, but I think heavy just sounds better. Heavy area, I like it.
I mean, this has been a heavy duty seed.
It has.
Emphasis on the duty though. Like, no, where's
Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Oh my god.
Out of all things to be anywhere, it's both of these.
And to be serious for a minute, that, unless I'm misreading the strategy, technically, that is the worst possible combination for Al. Like, if you're talking about trying to find some way to, like, do something kind of crazy to get in the race that maybe your opponent's not going to do, the fact that both of the, like, gravity and the other suitless item you would need if you did suitless to get through are together in the same location is terrible.
Correct. Yeah, because that's either one of those items being separated in somewhere that Al could possibly check over Aussie, like Croc for whatever reason, if, you know, whatever warp they can find. I don't know. It's really bad news for Al, unfortunately. That's really it's heartbreaking.
That is tough. And you know, we say this a lot. I mean, it's true. A lot of times you will have two runners in a rando, in my opinion, both play perfectly fine, you know, but there can only be one winner, and sometimes it's just luck of the draw on certain things, then other times it's just like a few decisions here or there, a few item locations here or there, and a different result. Canadian Al has played really well, in my opinion. If I was in this race, he'd be ahead of me, but he just happens to be playing against, you know, meaning no disrespect to anyone else, but I would say that Aussie is as good as any other person in the entire league at doing full rando. I mean, he's just very, very experienced, and he's a very good player. So it's a tough opponent to have.
Yeah, Al's shown off some cool things. Like, one thing that we didn't point out is actually he kind of got like a semi really cool 100% abandoned strat heading over to Gauntlet that Al got to show off. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty cool thing. Shout out to him executing that earlier. And Al's gonna be checking this. I wonder. Wait, this.
Oh, look, high five. Or what
A
would
nice
you call
little
it if
high
they're?
five.
What would you call it if they're both in morph ball?
I know what Matrick would call it.
Oh no.
But yeah, you know what? Let's just like a, I don't know, roly poly fight. It's like ohms.
There you go.
Hold on. Right now, I'm only thinking about how is Al can spring ball jump his way out, right? I'm pretty sure he can.
I believe so. I think so. I guess we'll find out.
Because that's it's a very annoying room to try to get out of suitless.
Nice job by Al, by the way. That is actually difficult in my opinion. when I first started speedrunning this game, I did the charge method for the quick kill, but then later when I updated to the missile, the 2 missile and 3 supers, I forgot the timing of the charge. He tried for
Mm-hmm.
the 2 missiles and then accidentally kind of messed up, but then did the charge as a backup, and he did a great job because those timings are different. So great job, Al.
Yeah, it's I think it's funny when people say, "Oh, you know, the charge method is easier," and I'm over here struggling with the charge method.
Right, yeah, me too.
But yeah, that's just every game just kind of has. I wonder what
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've been waiting a long time to do this. Um, Sephi, when you're in need of power bombs, what are you gonna pick? Frog pocket.
Oh oh my god. Frog pocket. Frog pocket. Is that with like made with real frog? Maybe I'm thinking too much about it. I'm sorry, but you cannot hit me left field with a frog pocket, hot pocket jingle and make me not think about frog meat.
Yeah, sorry. No,
Especially considering that I have a baby Kermit
yeah,
avatar on Discord.
your avatar is fantastic. What is he playing the banjo? You gotta love it.
But yeah, anyway, continue. You were saying
Another high five. Anyway, yeah, you were saying something, and then I got excited about Frog Pocket. But in all seriousness, that room actually is. I find myself going in there several times in randos, even if I don't need an item, just because a lot of times I'll need a refill. So it's a very convenient room to get refilled on your PBs.
yeah, that too. Especially because they don't have bombs.
Or bombs got left behind. So if I recall, we did see East Meridia early, and then I think Aussie used the same portal. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he entered. I believe it was one of the very first portals we saw, right? I think it was at the top of Green Brinstar, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was.
Because I remember at the beginning they saw it and then they left because they couldn't go there. So they made it back here Aussie made it back here very quickly.
I wonder. This is actually. Oh no, because Owl is in the area that he wants to be for ice and for gravity, but just on the wrong side. And unless he can double spring ball jump, or unless he finds, grapple. This is gonna be. Yeah, Owl would have to take like I guess any sort of long way just to get back on the other side.
Right. So, and I think at this point we've actually the only two major items that Aussie does not have. I think we've seen both of them, right? Spazer was at Waterway and Bombs was at Cathedral.
Yeah.
So yeah, Aussie's cruising.
I'm surprised we still haven't seen more reserve tanks. We've only seen the one.
That's true. I was gonna say he's cruising USA, but I guess I can't say that because I'm pretty sure he's Canadian, and then he's also playing Canadian now, so that wouldn't have worked at all. Okay, real quick, small thing. Not important, but still neat. Aussie just shot 3 supers at the turrets, which normally is not, normally you try to save every super possible and fire just your regular missiles, right? But one interesting thing that they've added to area is that when you enter Torian, when you go down the elevator at G4, you get a free refill on all your energy and all your ammo. So at this point, he knows he's heading straight there. He doesn't really need, any supers or anything, to get there. And plus he has plenty. So kind of neat that you can just kind of be totally have no regard for your ammo when you get to near the end of one of these because you know you're going to get it back for free.
It's kind of wild how frugal you can be with your ammo when you feel that you can just waste it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, would you say you play a little bit more reckless as the seed progresses?
Talking about in area?
Just in any, like, if you see yourself just like stacked on ammo, and you know you're gonna go for like not an area, but I think more so when you see yourself with a bunch of energy,
Right.
do you just try to tank everything sometimes, or?
Yes, I probably care less about my energy late in a run where I have a bunch of energy than ammo because, you know, a lot of cases with ammo, if you can avoid doing a ship refill, then great. But your ammo actually can still be valuable and provide DPS boosts in Torian unless you have like full beam combo, you know, which you don't normally get full beam combo in a lot of randos. So I'm still pretty, you know, conservative with the ammo. But when it comes to energy, like if I've got both suits and I'm like done with lower Norfair, for example, I'll just start running into stuff. Like who cares?
Yeah, okay. I thought as much, just because some people, I know I've caught myself too, but I've seen several players just kind of, you know, we maintain that we never really are full health. We don't try to like play super cautious, especially in a race, of course. You know, you just
Right.
try to go through everything as quickly as possible. I just kind of wonder, you know, if that makes for having the reflex, you know, to do backup strats, you know, a little bit more comfortable. Because it's not like people are practicing backup strats often. It's like you make a mistake, you try to recover that, you know, as
Sure.
quickly as possible. So, and to try to make up time, especially again in a race setting, you don't want to be losing as much time. So you are probably going to try to make your movement a little bit tighter. Try to play a little bit riskier because of all that energy that you have.
That's true, and I don't want to like disagree with you because I don't disagree with you. However, the only sort of additional thing I'll add to that is like this is not a thing I think everyone does, nor am I saying it's the best thing. It's just how I think and play. I actually am in some ways more conservative in races in certain areas or certain ways because in a lot of ways I have to fight my speedrunner instinct to like, well, even if I mess up, there's, you know, I can reset and there's another run, right? But when you're in a race, you don't have that. So there are certain places, not like in every room, but there are certain places that I know can be kind of dangerous where I will maybe purposefully be a little bit more careful and quote unquote lose time. But it's just that the likelihood that that room, me spending an extra 1 or 2 seconds in that room to be more careful, ends up me losing the race is so astronomically low that it just doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen. I think I've mentioned before. By the way, I'm sorry. Aussie is on his way over to
Right.
Torian, and so Aussie's on his way to Torian.
He's on the worst path in the game, currently in the worst room in the game.
It really is. It's really awkward how this G4 got placed, and then Owl is still looking for ice and gravity, which he will eventually find, unless he's committing to something else at this moment. But
He's in East Meridia though right now, isn't he?
yeah,
He's I can't remember where all the portals connect, but it feels like he's a good piece away. Is he about to? Oh, he's about to crab or snail climb. You know, I gotta hand it to him. Even though we know that this is not really the way, I love when I see players realize that they kind of got to do something crazy and hope
yep.
for the worst, you know, and like commit to it. I think this is actually a very bright play to make. You know, unfortunately, it's not going to work out in real time, but I think in theory, this is actually the best thing to do.
Oh,
I
I
didn't know
like
you.
his little method here.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that. I'm going to have to watch this back later and practice this. I'm learning all kinds of stuff today.
I think he's using this to gain himself some more height. And oh my gosh, but
Dude, snails are the worst.
yeah.
Meanwhile,
Okay.
Aussie having a very nice Torian so far. I don't
Yeah,
know
so this is
why. I'm sorry. I was just gonna comment on the graphic glitch. That always happens in the croc room.
yeah, I don't know if it, because you only see it in area randos, right? And
That's the only place I've seen it.
it's weird how it must be like how the programming is and the screen scroll. I don't know though. Honestly, we couldn't tell you. Maybe Crocomire knows.
Somebody knows. There's always somebody that knows.
Oh, maybe because of the shining,
Oh,
flickering door that lets you escape. I don't know.
nice spike suit, Al. Nice baby skip, Aussie. Back to back, big tricks. Good job, boys.
Good job. And you know what'd be cool if Owl kept that spike suit to try to get into Bottoon.
Oh, that would be some like Zinny level stuff right there.
Yeah. Even Static. Shout out to Static wherever he is.
I'm glad you brought that up. I love all of our, runners, and especially nice skip there, Aussie. Especially a lot of our legacy guys. It would make me there's no other runner out there that it would make me happier to see return than Static. I love Static. He's an amazing player.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people would always they would just claim, he's your favorite runner's runner.
Right.
So, yep, makes sense.
Yeah, he is. The funny thing for anybody out there, since obviously we're just kind of cleaning this up, assuming Aussie doesn't die here, it should be fine. But one thing I want everyone to understand about Static is if you go and look at his times on the leaderboards, number one, they're very strong. But number two, I promise you, he is way better than even that represents. Like, he has what I believe is still like a top, like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 low ice time. And he literally did like 5 runs and then was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So if he grinded it as much as some of us have in these categories, I assure you his times would be even more insane.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, shout out to Static wherever he is. Maybe the one race he's listening into.
Right.
Owl actually found Grapple, and I think Owl is gonna try to go for this.
How troll is this seed? They put gravity and ice.
Yeah.
In West Meridia, at right next to one of the portals that would normally lead to Aqueduct. But then in East Meridia, they put a portal to so close. They put a portal to Croc and then put Grapple at Croc. You have got to be kidding me. That is so unbelievably troll.
Yeah, this seed, for everything that Al would have wanted to do, in order to be able to just be able to make any sort of risky play against Aussie, the seed wasn't it for him, and that's
sometimes. And again, I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing, because everybody didn't have to agree with me, but throughout the season, especially in some of my races, like I've seen people be really disappointed if it was like a fast, seed or something like that. Well, I mean, it's rando. You have to have certain seeds be able to be really fast and some be able to be really slow. because if they're all slow or they're all crazy, then you can just change the way you play and adjust to it, right? But it is unfortunate for Al. More fortunate for Aussie. It just depends on which side you want to root for. It's more unfortunate for Al that this happened to be one of those types of seeds that did not allow as much opportunity for some of that potential separation. But he did his best. He just ran into an unfortunate seed, and Aussie took advantage. I will say this, as Aussie is getting close to the ship here, this is going to be a victory, and not only in this race, but in the series for Shaktool's digging game, winning the semifinal against Vileplumes 3-1, and they are locking up a trip to head to the finals for Season 3 to face my team, Funky Town. I am very excited. I have a tremendous amount of respect for every single person on their team, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So congratulations to Aussie, finishing with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 51 seconds. And I think everybody looks forward to seeing them in the finals. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, good game, Aussie. Booking first class ticket to Funky Town, population of 3. And anyone else that wants to join them as well. But wow, phenomenal job. They've made it through finals. I guess Al ended up just forfeit. It was shout outs to Al again. Wanted to do what he wanted, but the seed just didn't allow it. And
Right.
joining us is Aussie here on the commentary booth. Welcome in, Aussie.
How's it going?
GG, Aussie, you ran a fantastic race. I would love to ask you some very specific and nuanced strategic questions, but unfortunately, I am not nearly as familiar with full Rando as you are. So I'm just going to turn it over to you. Tell us about what you felt about the seed. I thought you handled everything great. There were some troll things about it, but just, give us your overall analysis.
Yeah, definitely some troll things about the seed. The big thing for this seed was the lower Norfair to G4. Like, that's the huge time sink of the seed, I think.
Yeah, that one was not fun.
Early game, we got all the dense item locations. So those were nice to see. So you could look for E-tanks and high jump to open up other areas to explore. That early speed find I got felt pretty good, especially when it led to high jump. I was feeling like that would give me an edge. Just the ordering of that.
Yeah, that's something Seffi and I kind of talked about. Not only are you a very experienced full rando player, obviously I even made the point, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, but I believe that you might be the most versatile player in the entire playoffs. I mean, obviously we have a lot of great players, but there's really not a mode that you're not familiar with or uncomfortable with. But separate from that, I thought your just micro, your movement and your execution of strats was very, very good overall in this race. So I thought you played a really solid game.
Yeah, the full randomizer, it's similar to the combo rando SNZ3, so I can do a lot of room to room strats. And then this week I've been practicing everything on seeds. So full randomization, full area, boss shuffle, and so these choices were fine with me.
Yeah, no, the Kip mentioned that, being able to find all that mobility starting off was it was looking promising, and really good decision making, because you and Al were actually making the same plays, which is in a full fully, by the way, just to update you on what we're calling these, or heavy randos. It can get a little overwhelming. By the way, welcome in Al, GG, and sorry about that one. in these full randomized randos, it can get overwhelming, knowing where to go. And Kip had also mentioned, that when you don't know where to go, it's kind of tough to try to flesh out a route for yourself, to try to make some riskier plays or to try to even like keep in mind what your opponent might do, what you think your opponent will do against them, and kind of, try to diverge from that. And for the most part, like Aussie was trying to stay ahead and doing the same checks that Al would eventually do later on.
Yeah, welcome in, Al. GG. We both thought that you ran a really good run and race, but the seed was pretty troll. And I noticed your comment in SRL as well. So, give us your thoughts on just the overall seed and everything like that.
Well, Aussie gave me the full random star location, which I wasn't a big fan of. Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had full random against Ashter, and that didn't go very well. And so my game plan was basically to check everything because that's the only way I know how to do full rando.
No, I'm with you. I'm not very familiar with it either. In terms of the draft, your team had the first pick, and I think you started off with full area, right? So,
Yes.
I've really enjoyed kind of doing full area. How do you feel about it? Do you like it? Have you done any light? Like, if you were to say which one you prefer, which one do you think you prefer the most?
I like full because of the where everything could be is like absurd logic chains. That's stuff I like, but with full it just takes it to another level, which is kind of where I got stumped on.
Sure. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alcy.
Full could give you these really bad logic chains, but something like light is way more manageable, and you're not gonna like take a big time loss to not knowing the layout.
Right. Well, real quick, obviously, Sevi, you can ask more questions and stuff. I want to make one quick point about this matchup and then ask Aussie about the finals real quick. Canadian Al, your team had a fantastic season, one of the best teams in the league. Technically, even though y'all are the official number 4 seed, because that's what you selected after the race, you were technically, in terms of the regular season, finishing the second best team. You did a great job in the playoffs. Just ran into a really, really strong team and had, some tough races. But for those of you that are a little bit older, I kind of feel like y'all's team is a lot like the 1990 Chicago Bulls. That was like the year before they won their first set of championships. And basically they got knocked out by like the Detroit Pistons, who had been the champion, I think, 2 years in a row. And Michael Jordan made the point. He said, we're on our way. This is probably the last time they're going to get us. It's just not our time yet. I kind of feel like if we do a team thing again next year with the trajectory of like you and Nebdi and Zeb, I feel like y'all are like right on the cusp of being like some of the absolute strongest monsters in the league. So I think y'all had a great season, and I look forward to seeing what you guys do in the next one. Aussie, now that you guys have made it into the finals, y'all get to race my team, Funky Town, which I'm super excited about. I don't think you and I have been able to compete against each other since, I believe, SG Live a couple years ago. So anyway, what are you looking forward to with our matchup?
I don't know what in particular. Like, each of you are going to be like very tough opponents that I've sort of raced in the past, like on not Kalmuth, but Zost and Captain. I've raced in other tournaments, but this is gonna be like my first time in a Super Metroid Randomizer, I think, for both of you. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, if you and I race each other, I'm going to draft first, and I'm going to pick any percent. How's that? Does that sound good?
Second pick of bingo.
Yeah. But anyway, congratulations to you guys on making the finals. Aussie, Al, obviously, if there's anything else you guys want to say to each other or say about the seed, feel free to do so.
That seed was dumb.
Yeah, it was.
It
I
was.
thought you had to go to Croc to get gravity. And when it wasn't there, I was just so confused.
I heard a rumor that the sandpit area isn't in logic without gravity. I avoided that.
I believe that's true. But honestly, I can't keep up with everything with full. But y'all had a great race tonight. It was a good end to the semifinals. I'm excited about the finals. Sephi, it was a lot of fun commenting with you. Any other questions for the runners?
I have a question for you, Kip. Actually, I can't believe, why would you want Aussie to grind out any percent and then end up taking it like he did with the Prodigy tournament? I'm just joking.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have asked for that. I was
joking.
trying to pay him a compliment by saying that I thought I had a better chance of beating him in any percent than I did in Rando.
Yeah, no, I mean, stellar runner. Really quick, actually, all I have to add, and then you can close this out, Kip, is just make sure to follow the runners. Aussie 101 from Shaktool's digging game into the finals, and yeah, big shout outs also to Team Vileplumes, Canadian Owl, give him a follow, and yeah, representing with Nevdi and Zeb316.
Absolutely. Aussie Al, anything else to say before we wrap this up?
I think this was my last stream as Canadian Owl. I will change my name to just Owl RTA from now on.
All right. I like it. Are you changing it because the Maple Leafs got beat?
No, but I'm sad about that too.
Yeah, I get it. I actually like them too, so I feel bad too. Aussie, what about you?
Just that it was a good series, good set of races. An owl. Yeah, GG.
GG. Once again, Sephi, I didn't get a chance to do it, but just a couple times this season, but I really enjoyed hanging out and doing comms with you. I think you're one of the best, and I appreciate how many comms you've covered for us this season. I hope you get on the finals. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. We will see you next mission.